Good evening, everybody. This is Hot Cash from the King of Spice. That's me, Bo McBrayer. Find me on Twitter at Bo_McBigTime. This is a Nimble with Numbers production. Make sure you like, subscribe, and jingle the bell for notifications. Nimble W Numbers on YouTube. Hot Cash from the King of Spice is a cash games guide for the main slate on DraftKings. So make sure you're playing enough 50-50 and head-to-heads to build your bankroll. And the whole goal with cash games is to build your lineup to beat half the field and double your money each time. It's a great way to add bankroll so that you can play tournaments on somebody else's dime, because you know you're going to win more money on tournaments that have a lower hit rate. So our goal is to base on points per dollar, volume, and likelihood that they hit their ceiling performance. Let's start off with the quarterback position. Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, 8,100, 8,200. Yes, please on both of them. They're both great cash plays. They're going to get the rushing volume. They're going to get the passing volume. They're playing bad defenses. Both great plays. A little tougher to build around expensive quarterbacks, but it's worth it because they have immense floor and ceiling. Going down quite a ways to my next cash play, Tom Brady at 6,000, going up against the Atlanta Falcons, whom he has completely owned in his career with the Bucs the last 2 years. 23rd ranked defense against quarterbacks for the Falcons. Even though they have good bookend corners, the middle of the field is ripe for the picking. Tom Brady is a great value at 6,000 this week in cash games and tournament play. We're going to go down even further now. Trevor Lawrence against Houston. We're kind of attacking the Houston Texans every week in DFS, whether it's cash or GPP. We're going to take advantage of the low-hanging fruit. The Houston Texans are abysmal on defense. Trevor Lawrence coming off a 5-turnover game. He's going to bounce back. This is kind of the slump buster defense for NFL offenses. Trevor Lawrence is having himself a good season. I think he continues that against Houston. And finally, to wrap up my cash quarterbacks, Zach Wilson, believe it or not, is in a prime position at 5,300 to continue to get better. Miami Dolphins are dead last against quarterbacks in the NFL. So Zach Wilson at a value play. He's going to chuck the ball around. He didn't throw it as often as Joe Flacco did. He only threw it 37 times. That's still a lot. He's still got great weapons. He's got great running backs who can catch the ball. He's got receivers everywhere. The Jets are still going to have to keep up with a high firepower offense in Miami, even with Teddy Bridgewater going. So Zach Wilson wraps up my quarterback cash plays. Running backs, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb. Lock them all in. They're all over 8,000 this week. If you're building a cash lineup, you want the guys that are going to have the immense floor. McCaffrey a little trickier there at 8,500 going up against an extremely tough 49ers defense. However, it's still Christian McCaffrey, and he's coming off a 9-reception game where his floor was very high. Even with San Francisco figuring to win this game handily, that just plays more into the Christian McCaffrey receiving narrative, making him still a strong play in cash games. Henry, he's actually getting passing volume this year, guys. Hold the press. Derrick Henry's getting catches this year. And the Tennessee Titans going up against Washington, who have an atrocious defense. Derrick Henry's always a threat. He's going to get the volume. He probably has a very good chance of scoring a touchdown in this game. I still think Nick Chubb is the best play this week at 8,000 flat. He is the best NFL running back right now. Not getting the receiving work, hasn't needed it. The guy's averaging over 100 yards a game. He's scoring touchdowns every game, and the Chargers are 30th against running backs. Let's go down quite a ways here to my next cash running back, Jamal Williams, 6,500. Are we chasing points? Yes. Are the Patriots a little bit tougher against running backs? Sure. However, Jamal Williams is still going to get a lot of volume, and he's going to have a very high floor in a game where the Lions don't have much to lose here. They're going to keep playing bad defense. They're going to keep putting their offense back on the field for lots of plays to be run. This team is scoring lots of points this year. Number one scoring offense in the NFL are the Detroit Lions. Who would have thought that? Jamal Williams, very safe floor. James Robinson, 6,300 at running back, going up against those Texans, who are 32nd against running backs. That's dead last. James Robinson getting all the work over Travis Etienne. I tried to tell you all that Travis Etienne is not ready to be an NFL running back. Is his future extremely bright? Yeah. James Robinson is still the lead back here, and Houston cannot tackle. We saw Austin Eckler go completely nuclear last week with 3 touchdowns. James Robinson is in line for a huge performance and is one of my best running back plays in cash and GPP. Along those same lines, right across the field from James Robinson is Damien Pierce of the Houston Texans going up against the 27th ranked defense against running backs, the Jaguars. The Jaguars have been better than usual on defense, but not against running backs. Damien Pierce is a hard-nosed runner. He breaks a lot of tackles. He has decent hands. They haven't used him a ton in the passing game, but he is a good running back, and he's going to get a lot of work. Damien Pierce, 6,200, a little bit overpriced, but he's going to get the work, and the Jags can't stop the run. I'm going to play him in cash games. One of the better plays might be Devin Singletary, and I don't even think Devin Singletary is that good, but 6,100 going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who can't stop anybody. Running back, wide receiver, tight end, it doesn't matter. Pittsburgh's defense is banged up, and they are awful. Devin Singletary is getting all the work over Zach Moss and James Cook so far. Pittsburgh is going to probably be trailing a lot in this game. Buffalo is a 14-point favorite, and for NFL standards, that's a huge point spread. It tells me that they're going to ride Devin Singletary a lot in the second half. And if he scores a touchdown, this is an easy hit at 6,100. That's a great price. Khalil Herbert at 5,900. The Vikings have been a big disappointment this year. Are they a good team? Probably. But I don't say they're a great team. This NFC load of teams is good but not great. It's a deep conference, but every team has obvious flaws. One of the flaws for the Vikings is their run defense. 26th against the running backs. Khalil Herbert getting lots of work with David Montgomery out. Montgomery is not playing in this game. If he is, it's going to be extremely limited with his injuries. So Khalil Herbert's a great play in cash at 5,900. Here's where we get into interesting territory. I kind of think that this duo of Patriots running backs are better for tournament play than cash games because I'm not sure who's going to get the most work. And yes, it is the Lions, so they're both probably going to score plenty of fantasy points, but I think one of these guys has a huge game. I'm not sure which one it is. I still think that you could play either one of them confidently, that they're going to hit value at 5,500 and 5,600 respectively. Tournament play, you might want to do a lineup with both of them as your running backs. Who knows? This could be one of those games where they don't limit each other because this Patriots offense is going to run the piss out of the ball. They're going to run it. It's either going to be a gimpy Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi, the rookie out of Western Kentucky. They're going to run the football a lot. Ramondre and Damien are going to split the load. One of them is going to go completely bonkers. The other one's probably going to have a solid game. Play both of those guys in any format. Wrapping up the running back position, I'm not going to go below 5,400. There's 2 guys I like here, Jeff Wilson and Breece Hall. We're chasing points if we're playing Rashad Penny at 5,300. I think that was just kind of a flash in the pan. The Lions can't stop anybody on the ground. I'm not going to be playing Rashad Penny this week, but Breece Hall and Jeff Wilson will be in my lineups for cash. And down below are a bunch of GPP plays. So wrapping up the running back position with those 2 guys in the mid to low 5s. Let's hit to wide receiver. I hate to say it, but I'm fading Cooper Kupp this week. 9,600 is way too much when you know he's going to be facing a lot of tough coverage. And we saw what happens when you force feed even a great player like Cooper Kupp. And the Rams have been completely predictable this season. And we saw it with a pick 6 to Talanoa Hufanga on Monday night. Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee, Ben Skoranek on the right side of the formation, just about every play. They're running little screen and rub games every single play. It seems like Stafford doesn't have enough time to go vertical at any point, and it's really just not working out because they're not seeing any kind of vertical threat from any of these guys. Cooper Kupp was vertical last year, and we haven't seen it at all this year. So Cooper Kupp, I'm fading completely. You're going to want to load up on Justin Jefferson at 8,900 and Stephon Diggs at 8,400. Good night. Chicago, although they are officially ranked first against wide receivers, they've played a lot of games in inclement weather and just simply against bad passing offenses. Justin Jefferson's going up against some really bad corners for the Bears, and I don't see them really riding the run game with Madison and Dalvin Cook. So Justin Jefferson in line for another huge game, especially in cash. Stephon Diggs, enough said. He's number one wide receiver. He's going to have a great game. Deebo Samuel, another great play at 7,700. He's rushing plus receiving against a bad Carolina team. It's a green flag there. A.J. Brown, of course. Marquise Brown, sleepy, getting tons of volume. I love Marquise Brown this week against a Philly defense that's tough, but the wide receivers are still going to get peppered in this Arizona offense. It's high volume, high pace. The work is plenty to go around. Mike Williams, not for cash. CeeDee Lamb, not this week. He's going to get the Jalen Ramsey treatment. He's been kind of gimpy. Mike Evans, 6,900. Nice. Mike Evans, such a nice play this week. I'm going to all over him. Christian Kirk might be the best cash play on the board here. I faded him the last 2 weeks. He scored a touchdown 2 weeks ago to kind of hit value. Last week laid an egg, just as we suspected, against a tough Philly secondary. Christian Kirk against the Texans, huge upside, huge floor, 6,600. This guy's going to go off in this game. I love Christian Kirk this week. Going down the list, Chris Godwin, slot receiver for the Bucs. The Falcons are good on the outside. They have A.J. Terrell and Casey Hayward on the outside. Chris Godwin, slot receiver. He's going to eat in the middle of the field. Slot receivers are crushing the Falcons this year. Chris Godwin is in line for a massive game at 5,900. Play him. Down lower, Drake London, 5,900. Also a good play. Not quite as solid as Godwin in this one. Tampa Bay, very tough on the outside. Curtis Samuel is going to get peppered against the Titans. 29th against wide receivers. He's only 5,800. He's averaging double digits targets this year. You have to get Curtis Samuel in your cash lineups at that price. Chris Olave, another cash play, 5,700. He's going to be extremely chalky against the Seahawks, who can't cover a dead body with a tarp. Play Chris Olave with confidence in cash at 5,700. Going down, Garrett Wilson's decent, but the one who's getting peppered with targets under Zach Wilson the last 2 years is Corey Davis, 5,100. The Miami Dolphins, 28th against wide receivers, dead last against quarterbacks. Corey Davis is Zach Wilson's favorite target. He had a lot of work last week from his blonde, beautiful teammate from BYU, Corey Davis, 28th. He's a good play, 5,100. Michael Gallup, 5,000, more of a tournament play. Going down farther. Yeah, not much down here for cash game plays. You want to keep it kind of centered on guys that are likely to hit. So a lot of these value plays at wide receiver are not going to be good, solid cash plays. I think the lowest I'll go down is 3,900 for Kyle Phillips of the Titans going against Washington, who can't cover the middle of the field to save their life. That's a sneaky play for cash at 3,900. That's about as low as I want to go. Just because everybody down here mostly is completely uncertain on how much target volume they're going to get. Tight ends, pretty ugly this week. I'm pretty likely to spend down, even though the most expensive tight end on the main slate is George Kittle. He's never going to be a good cash play as long as he's playing left tackle for the 49ers and not running a lot of routes. 5,200 is just too much for any kind of cash tight end that's not running a bunch of routes. TJ Hawkinson, 4,900 is a great play, especially against the Patriots, who are 26th against tight ends. Zach Ertz, solid. Dallas Goedert, probably one of my favorite tight end plays, going up against Arizona, who's second to last against the tight end position at 4,700. Play Dallas Goedert. Everett is in. Freiermuth is in, but David Njoku is getting a lot of target volume the last 2 games. He had 10 targets 2 weeks ago when he went for 23.9 on DraftKings. Last week, 7 targets, went for 73, and that's 10.7. Oh, that's because he lost a fumble. So he had 12.7 if he didn't fumble. 3,800 for Njoku is a great price. Tyler Conklin, 3,700, going up against Miami, who can't cover. This is going to be an interesting slate for tight ends. Cash games, you can get pretty low risk. Logan Thomas down at 3,200. Jawan Johnson at 3,000 flat. Seattle's dead last against tight ends, so that's an interesting spot for Jawan Johnson if he can get the volume. Hunter Henry. Jonnu Smith is out for this game against Detroit. Detroit can't cover anybody. 25th against tight ends. Hunter Henry, safe security blanket for a gimpy Mac Jones or a rookie from Western Kentucky, Bailey Zappi. So 2,900 for Hunter Henry. The guy scored 11 touchdowns last year. That's a pretty solid cash play value. Wrapping up defenses, there's a few I really want to go heavy on. The San Francisco 49ers, 3,800, but playing Carolina Panthers, who, their offense is a mess. Baker Mayfield has been awful, dead last in every quarterback metric in the NFL so far this season. He has all the weapons, but coaching is terrible, and the scheme is terrible, and Baker hasn't looked good himself. He looks lost out there. The 49ers defense is going to rip him to shreds. I love the Cowboys down at 2,500, but one little interesting tidbit is the Eagles averaging 12.5 fantasy points per game. Arizona is not a bad offense, but they're turnover prone. And so I think that even if Arizona scores 20, 25 points against the Eagles this week, we're going to see some solid fantasy production from the Eagles at 3,500. And of course, the Cowboys going up against the Rams. The Rams are dead last against opposing DSTs this year because Stafford's getting sacked a bunch, and he's throwing 6 picks in the first 4 games. Cowboys are averaging 8 fantasy points a week, and they went price down after they just tore Carson Wentz up. The Commanders had no answers for this Cowboys defense. Great pass rush, solid secondary. Trayvon Diggs isn't getting burned this year. He's just as aggressive. He's just smarter. He's 1 year smarter, and I think he's going to lock on to Cooper Kupp. We're going to see what he's made of. But 2,500 for the Cowboys in a cash game, that is a locked in. I will have over half of my lineups with the Cowboys DST this week in cash, probably about another 35% on the 49ers and the rest on the Eagles. Thank you for watching Hot Cash from the King of Spice. I am Bo McBrayer. Find me on Twitter at Bo_McBigTime. Make sure you like and subscribe. Nimble W Numbers on YouTube. Have a great night. Good luck on Sunday. Let's win big.